All right, SWOT analysis. This is my simple way of just portraying it. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It's an acronym, you guessed it. This is a prettier way if that's what you wanted. Essentially, you should be thinking about SWOT analysis from a strategic perspective. What are your internal factors? What are your external factors? For internal, your strengths and weaknesses. For your external, your opportunities and threats. For your strengths, you want to build them. For your weaknesses, you want to resolve them. For your opportunities, you want to exploit them. For your threats, you want to thwart them at the end of the day. We want to think in matrices a lot of the time. There are internal, external. We talked about it. Well, they can be broken down as helpful and harmful. Your strengths and your opportunities are the things you want to always be taking advantage of because they help you grow. Your weaknesses and threats are the things that you want to definitely keep in mind and minimize. You can also break it down into a different matrix where you think about how they interact with one another. You have a strength and an opportunity where when you put them together, you're saying which of the company's strengths can be used to maximize the opportunities you identify. For instance, if you have a laboratory scientist and you're developing a laboratory product, how can you use that scientist to actually go out and sell to other scientists? It could be that that's not their strengths, but it could be if you test it out that that is a strength of theirs. And so instead of taking on an additional salesperson that might consume a tremendous amount of your overall burn rate, you might have your one of your current staff do it. There are strengths and threats. How can you use the company's strengths to minimize the threats that you identified? If you have someone within the company that has tremendous amount of connections in their network and you don't ask, you might actually be allowing a threat to exist where other people might take, other companies that are competitors might take the best people in the market. Whereas if you use your strength, that person with a very strong network, to actually acquire their network and bring them on as employees or as customers or as something else, you're actually minimizing the threat. There are weaknesses and opportunities. What actions can you take to minimize the company's weaknesses using the opportunities you identified? If there are people on LinkedIn that you can go out to connect with that can actually feed your pipeline, and if your pipeline was weak or anemic, you're actually alleviating the weakness by going out and looking for opportunities. You're finding people on LinkedIn that are filling the opportunities. They could be your customers, they could be your employees. Then the last one is, of course, weaknesses and threats. How can you minimize the company's weaknesses to avoid the threats you identified? So if you identified that your pipeline is weak and you found a way to actually fill your pipeline, you're actually minimizing a threat as well that might be from competition coming in and taking your customers, or perhaps the customers you're competing with. So if there was a pool of customers, there's two companies trying to go after them, and one of your weaknesses was acquiring customers, but you diminished that weakness. Well, now you're acquiring customers, which means the pool is shrinking for the other company. You're defeating them without knowing it. This is something that you should be thinking about all the time. Use as many strategic tools to think about your company. This will help you actually at every funding round. This will help you at every board meeting. This will help you at every customer meeting.